no idea what it meant. For some reason, though, the 6'7" trend just kept growing, and I became curious and wanted to know where it came from. So I started digging into what I thought was possibly the dumbest thing I ever looked into. But what I found quickly changed my view on this entire situation, as 6'7" went from just a silly kids trend to something rather dark. To understand what 6'7" is and what it actually represents, we have to trace it back to its origins. Now, the 6'7" meme first started at the top of the year in the online basketball social media world on TikTok. It was used to reference the player LaMelo Ball, who is 6 feet 7 inches tall. For a while, the 6'7" meme was literally referring to LaMelo, and unless you were in the basketball world, you knew nothing about it. It wasn't until March of 2025 that the 6'7" craze started to really take over. The 6'7" trend officially took off after this video went completely viral on social media. The video showed a kid in a basketball game scoring a basketball before the camera moved to the crowd, where this kid is seen screaming 6'7" while shuffling his hands. After this kid became the 6'7" kid and was an instant viral sensation. Just like that, the biggest meme of 2025 was created. And the funny thing is, no one even knows what it means. As the 6'7" craze became bigger and bigger, the kid in the viral video revealed that 6'7" was in reference to a lyric of a rap song called Beat Boot. The song Beat Boot came out in 2024 and was created by the Philly rapper Skillet. In the chorus of the song, he raps this line that birthed the 6'7" trend. Shooter stay strapped on the lead line. Hope the ball right to the behind. The way that switch worked, 6'7", not just big bird on college. This line in a rap song about doing the ops is what led to all the kids screaming 6'7". But this is already not enough. When you start looking into who Skillet is and what 6'7" represents, things go from innocent trend to rather dark and disturbing quickly. Skillet has been asked multiple times during interviews with 6'7". Skillet knows 6'7" has become mainstream and popular with John Alphabet, so if you associate it with something negative, it will turn this silly trend into something people don't want to be associated with, which will lead to all the attention he is receiving from the kids right now. So when he's asked about 6'7", he tells people it's just a random word he said in the song, but this isn't true. The truth is 6'7" actually represents an infamous Philly gang called YSN from the 6700 block of Philly, a really rooted band with plenty of belts and instruction attached to it.
But the main fact, one friend provides thousands of ways to personalize products for your home, business, fast. Our easy-to-use design tools. It's my science-based service, products, and affordable, high-quality products. Use Screen to customize, create, and grow your business. Turn to everything in your shop.
Bitch-ass nigga Ron.
6'7", that's not black, right? That's just something. 6'7", right? That's like, doesn't matter your words. And alright, I know especially black and men that feel shit. Like, man, you got that shit, man. It's like, this person rapping that shit like that.
And just a great job of getting there first.
That's how I told you. I heard you
play with about a minute
that's funny. I was so many gave words. I was looking I was still in verse 1. I didn't get in 13, but I was still in verse 11. But he saying 6'7", right? He got so many lyrics saying this shit. He was saying it in a video like the song. I was not going to go on. I was out Egypt. I'm out Egypt buying a house. She told me like I'm out Egypt buying a house. I ain't talking about it, man.
When you so ruthless, there is women that not take a thing, and they put on their head because they legit take out an innocent kid.
No, these are definitely not guys that want to be at war with, alright? So apparently 6'7" or 6700 block as they're referred to, YSN, they're apparently at war with another set called the ODA or the 7400 block, and word around town, apparently the war between these groups has gotten so bad that there is a $45,000 bounty on the heads of any YSN member due to the fact that YSN proved an innocent person as get back for YSN Diaz. And they're saying Chucky 67 actually ended up losing his life due to a price being on his head. Okay, I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. But this guy, YSN Diaz, okay, he's somebody that lost his life in a very brutal incident. And, you know, I'm about to tell you, man, it's actually really, really messed up what's going on behind the scenes with this YSN, this 6'7" game.
Literally, people have died because of the beef this 6'7" game had with others. The game is known for screaming 6'7" as their signature catchphrase, like everyone is doing there. Screaming the fact that the funds, the lyric 6'7" is connected to this game during the interview. Screaming 6'7" refers to the shooters.
That's what I was from the third year. Yes, but yeah, you know,
About 3 minutes gone here in the first quarter.
Now, kids are running around screaming the game's catchphrase like it's funny, not knowing what it really means or what it's connected to. It's like the naughty bop all over again. The naughty bop was a similar TikTok dance trend. This dance became viral out of nowhere a few years back, and it was everywhere after a drill rapper made a song and a dance. This seeming rival gamer was taking out bigger than the dance from. Everyone was doing this dance, even the teachers in school, without them knowing it was directly referencing the brutal death of a young kid. When the public found out the truth about the trend, it quickly died, as no one wanted to market kids death with their dance. Now, the fact that 6'7" is connected to infamous film gang is already documented, and when you start looking into his lyrics, things get quite sinister. School is a pretty drill rapper who raps about death, drugs, and destruction, and absolute horrible things for the kids, and that's just what they like it. But this isn't even the darkest thing about him. If you watch some of school videos, alongside of the normalization of the drug and street life, you will also find really dark, almost demonic imagery all over them. Some of his videos look like he's literally doing some sort of dark ritual in the video itself. In his music video called Word from the Soul, he starts the video with what only be explained as a dark demonic possession ritual, as he sat at a table with candles lit all around him. As the camera pans to him, start to see his eyes turn fully black, indicating he's becoming possessed. In another part of the video, it shows his eyes rolling back into the back of his head, showing imagery that clearly indicate he is possessed. This music video looks rather dark and demonic. I can only imagine what kids think after finding out Skrilla is responsible for the 6'7" move, typing his name on the YouTube search bar, and stumbling upon this video, clicking on it only to be scarred for life like they're seeing.
Iconic style. New York. A lot of basketball fans get straight to it, man. Shout out to the Sixers, man. Still getting these dubs over here. 102 to 100 yesterday against the Celtics. Tyrese Maxey had 21-9. He was not the story of the game, man. Go ahead and show the highlights, Lou. Hey, Jose Edwards, we talked about him last year, but he showed up yesterday. He made 2 points, 5 for 3. Looking good in that rotation. On the bright spot for you, Taylor. BJ, get shit out of here. This is a crazy play to me. The fact that, you know what I'm saying, the vibes, this how he knocked that type of plays. Tyrese Maxey needs to transition. The young wings of this team is dangerous, man. Super combining the for sure. I like these young guys. I thought he was going to have a little more impact on the field. Hey, if it runs, no eyes my dog. It's hard, though. There's so many people on that team that's getting buckets right now. He had 18 to 6 inches. All the wings moving out right now. It's tough. For sure.
And that's going to be a turnover. They call it
Yeah, time it is.
seconds.
Good defense, though. Oh,
Here's Anthony.
yes, sir. He's playing a lot of Tyrese. Like, great defense that situation, man. That's how the game is. That kind of in fact, with the dub. JB, he had 24-6. Derek White had 18-7. It's obviously 17-5. All right, man. Let's start with the Sixers team. We get the news PG, you know what I'm saying? Last thing we had, gonna be back soon. All these Wings players, where they are, you'll be able to get from that.
Developing story out of Los Angeles for following LeBron James, who practiced with the Phoenix South Bay Lakers again on Thursday. And here is the big news. Everyone is waiting for this. He was from Wednesday's practice. That was his first person 5-on-5 since his sciatica diagnosis. Remember that nerve pain on his right side. Since LeBron's getting closer and closer to joining the Lakers, let's check in with our senior writer, Dave McMenamin. And Dave,
Dope man, we need my nigga back. Gunny man, sir.
And so far through one quarter, it's been a lopsided game. We'll see if that changes here in the second.
Thursday was even bigger.
And a moment here to take a look at some hustle stats for Milwaukee.
Multiple sources, and he was a full participant. They did 5-on-5 drills. He was able to move without any pain in his lower back or his right side. And obviously, you know, he is now in the moment. If he continues to have this progression, he can practice with the Lakers on Monday when they return this 5-game road trip. And then this game on Tuesday, we're in the timing now where we can be looking at the schedule look next week and say, hey, that could be the game where we see LeBron James making his season debut, which will be making some history. The only player in history to have played 23 seasons. So no steps on the court to begin the season.
But that history he made as soon as Tuesday against the Utah Jazz. It's a question that you're going to be following. And the Lakers, they need him back badly because they're coming off the worst game of the season against the Thunder on Wednesday. I don't even know if we can call it a game. That was a beatdown. So what's being said of tonight's NBA Cup game against the New Orleans Pelicans?
Yeah, it was a trouncing. And Jack Younger said that actually it's easy to dismiss that one. He said the game tape when you watch the minute by 30, you're kind of giving to it. And you recognize that there's a lot that needs to be done. And earlier in the season, the team is here for this team was something. For all this road trip, it's been the first one. They didn't work from the very start against the Atlanta Hawks, and then the same thing against Oklahoma City Thunder. And DeAndre Ayton says we need to play with the requisite force from the very beginning. Xander said that, hey, this is an NBA Cup game tonight. We performed well in the past. I don't know what it is about it, but we seem to bring our A game to these type of competitions. So
they say it was last touched by Portis.
Back on track tonight.
Right, and this New Orleans team hasn't exactly been a juggernaut of the NBA so far this year. But again, these are the games we really have to dial into because it's easy for them to fall into those trap games. Dave McMenamin, thank you so very much. You mentioned the Lakers schedule. Let's just take a look at it together. Yeah, it really eases up through the rest of November. Look at this. They have 7 games left. Only one of them is against a team that has a winning record. That's the final game of this road trip. That's this weekend against the Milwaukee Bucks. So Brian Windhorst is here. Kendrick Perkins is here. Sweater is joining us in studio as well today. Brian, I'm going to start with you here. What's form of LeBron James do they come back to this team?
It would be amazing if they would get second-team All-NBA LeBron, but even if he's not that coming out of the gate, I don't think we can expect that. The Lakers need a little bit of assistance, a little bit of margin for error. The reason I say this, they're 8-4, which is great. So considering what they've gone through early in the season to be 8-4 is tremendous. If you look at their defensive rankings, they're in the bottom 10. They've gone with the Charlotte Hornets, with the Utah Jazz, with a bunch of other losing teams. If you look at their net rating, which is a little bit more complicated, but it definitely was affected by that ball loss. So they're, again, down in the bottom 10. They have a net rating of a team that's got a losing record. And yet they're 8-4. That's great. That also means that maybe they're cheating a little bit. And yeah, their schedule eases up, but you can't continue to play this level of basketball and skate this close and think that you're going to continue to play this level of winning. That's why LeBron comes back. He brings margin for error. That is the entire thing he can do. It might take him a few weeks to get into that, but the Lakers have weathered this. They're getting brilliantly with all the injuries, including the Luka and Austin Reeves. They're in good position to bring LeBron back and then try to take it.
I believe, once LeBron comes back, we know it's how to take game of basketball is going to hit any team, especially this Lakers team. Right? And I think the Knicks, I don't be part of it. I don't like to look at numbers and do all that. I don't like to do okay, but I do like to watch. And what I'm saying is that a lot of GMs spoke about the Lakers against GM. Right on the GM or whatever.
What did they say? Put it that way.
Well, I got to be honest. They didn't all hit y'all see. What I will say is this. What I will say is this. LeBron James is cool. He can buy into any way, long as the results are good. And when I look at that gift, I'm looking at real high I'm looking at Marcus Smart, second in skills right now. They have the depth. Now you have LeBron James, who, you can play him in any position. I'm waiting to see him make the forward position. So, again, yes, LeBron is going to put them there. But here's my question to you, Tim. When you look at the Western Conference, how many teams can you actually say that are that much better than the Los Angeles Lakers besides OKC and Denver?
I'd say those two for sure. Yeah, probably Houston at their best. I'd probably give them the edge too. But that's a great point. I think what happened to them the other night in Oklahoma City,
we're trauma bonded.
Yeah, a little bit, because we got a chance to hang out with the Lakers before the game with them, talk to JJ. You could tell there was a good confidence. Hey, let's see what this Oklahoma City
basically just standing up.
And two guys that were rolling in you could these were dominating paint touches off the dribble. And that was cold water dumped in their face. Okay, and I understand it's the best defensive team in the league. I get that, but here's where I've noticed it.
they were not able to penetrate the outer shell at all. And LeBron James is going to penetrate that. Even some of the early stuff when LeBron's coming up with four, he can split two guys. You can see Luka doesn't play fast enough to do that early. Also, he isn't strong enough. LeBron can penetrate a shell like that to break them down to create more paint points because that was a totally different style and number that they were used to on Wednesday night. And I think now getting LeBron back solves some of that.
All season long, you have one of the best seats in the house at NBA games. It's been so fun to watch you and hear you on the calls. But I'm curious if you can give us a little bit of that Tim Legler vision now that you're here in studio. Your top takeaways from being courtside for all of these things.
Well, I think first just the individual offensive eruptions and from the team standpoint as well. Here early in the year, 5 guys already top 50 points. I think a big part of it is the free throw. And take a look at this. Last year, the Denver Nuggets were led in you get free throw points per game at 23. This year, 2014 are taking more than last year. So the whistles are favorable, and I say that because it played into a lot of these big scoring nights individually for guys. And look, you expect Shea to do it, and he called that game 55. And you expect Jokic to do it, he had 55. But then you get guys like Ryan Marketing and Aaron Gordon and Austin Reeves as well. So the offense absolutely out of 3 guys taking advantage of the whistle a little bit. And one. Second thing for me, Austin Reeves, go get that money. You go get that money, man. And good. I know he struggled against Oklahoma City. But a lot of guys are going to do that. So take a look at what he has done this year. For me, it was the Minnesota game that stood out more than any. Because Luka didn't play, you know, on the sideline. 28 points, 16 assists. He completely controlled the game against a team with some elite perimeter defenders and hit the buzzer beater when everybody in the building knew that he was going to take the last shot. He's made himself a ton of money. A next player, Austin Reeves has turned himself into. And then the last thing, Oklahoma City Thunder coming out of the gate the way that they have. Look, if it wasn't for blowing a 20-point lead against Portland, they're undefeated and they're short-handed. Their depth is almost unfair. And now look what's happening with a guy like A.J. Mitchell has emerged, taking advantage of this extra opportunity for minutes to Jalen Williams sideline. The thing about the Olympics, we're talking about it, without Nico, it's first 2 roles, defensive player, and without 2 leaders, we have enough defenders in the league. So this is rare for a champion to start that following year the way that Oklahoma City has. Just incredibly dominant.
So let's talk about the Sixers side of all this first. What was the latest you can tell us on Joel Embiid's status?
Yeah, as you just laid out there, we'll see if the league Pistons have Tate Cunningham and Jalen Bird tonight, but the Sixers will not have either Joel Embiid or Paul George. As you see there on the screen, Embiid is going to miss his 3rd straight game. His right knee soreness tonight against Detroit. Earlier this week, the Sixers said he's day-to-day with soreness in that knee and there's no structural issues with it. Now remember, this is the other knee from the one that's given him problems the last couple of years. So initially popped up that the other knee is giving him problems. There was some concern that this could potentially be some longer-term thing. It does not appear, though, that it will be, so hopefully he is back to the Sixers sometime next week. And same could be said for Paul George. He still needs another week to strengthen that left leg, that left quad after that off-season knee surgery. If he has to play this season, he's going to get reevaluated next week. Potentially the Sixers could have both of their match players on the court sometime soon, along with Tyrese Maxey, as you said earlier. They had a great start to the season, but they're the league leaders.
Yeah, the Sixers have had a much better start to this season and been able to stay afloat without their 2 main guys. It's a very different story than what we saw last year. Let's take in the East here, Tim, because the Knicks are hosting the Heat tonight. It's in league play. But what can you tell us about how New York is approaching Darius Brunson's ankle injury? How much time is he getting?
Well, as Sean said yesterday, you can see it there on the screen, he's going to be evaluated day-to-day going forward. And there's definitely some concern. You see here when Jalen got hurt the other night against Orlando, he left the arena with a walking boot on. And remember, this is the same ankle that cost Jalen Brunson 15 games last season. It looked like it gave him some issues during the playoffs. He was able to play through the Knicks run to the conference finals and obviously had a great postseason. Jalen Brunson obviously goes without saying is a gigantic part of what the Knicks do. If he is on the court, the Knicks have an offensive rating of 123. That would be first in the NBA, and the 3rd-ranked offense, the 3rd-ranked overall offensive league because of that. But when he's off the court, rating drops to 110. That's 25th. Same rating as the Sacramento Kings. So that is a significant gap. Obviously, it's something we'll see if the Knicks can bridge tonight when they begin to stretch it out Jalen Brunson against the line to beat the guard.
What do you say about the Kings thing? Just kidding. They just talking about NBA today. The Knicks feel though they're not going to lean on their experience without Brunson to get through this next stretch of games. The Knicks showed last season they were up to the task. They went 11-6 in game 6. They're all NBA point guards. So Brian, this stretch without Brunson, what's going to tell us about these people?
Yeah, so with this new offense with Mike Brown, they've really activated Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Their offense is way more part of what they're doing. So that's really good. The thing is, even though Jalen Brunson's usage rate for all his minutes is not rated, his usage rate is up. They're relying on him as much as ever. So they do have Miles McBride. I think it's cool that he's gone from not being a factor at all to having some movement. So they're going to lean on their backups here, but they're also going to lean on their highly paid wing players that are going to need more offensive creation.
Right, one of those OG Anunoby we saw have to have a huge goal in Jalen Brunson and that receiving guys. What exactly could that look like here?
Yeah, here's why it's going to be important for OG Anunoby guy with that going to be last year. Second half of the year, we had 6-week stretch where he averaged over 23 points a game when they had guys out. And how did he do it? He took advantage of early driving opportunities, more so than he would if Brunson's on the floor. And this is a good push here by McBride. I love this. But here's where Anunoby is so good. You're going to see him start to come into the picture right here on the trail. He is so good at attacking closeout defenders. And you don't see him do this as much if Brunson's on the floor because they're going to get into a half-court set. When he catches this ball, he's going to put his head down and he's going to attack this big right here. And when he's really long and aggressive, he doesn't even have regard right here for the back two defenders. He doesn't care. He's got one thing in his mind right now. He's going to get past one, and then he's going to step through two more and get to the rim because of the aggressive mindset. The other area that I think you're going to see him take advantage of as long as Brunson's out, the early throws. It doesn't happen as much when Brunson's on the floor, but here's an example. He catches the basketball right here on the rim, and actually, if you look at the defense, they're in pretty good position. All right, 4 guys ahead of the ball, and a 5th over here. When OG Anunoby recognizes that the big is going to be lifted as he starts to put it down, here's the old shot blocking presence on the floor. Anunoby knows he can just overpower the defender, get to him. Now watch the best parts at the end. He misses. Watch the athleticism. The second jump, he beats everybody the ball, gets his own putback. So I think you're going to see Anunoby be much more aggressive early in possession with his blocking ability because he can overwhelm guys physically.
And that's what we saw last year when Jalen Brunson did that. That's a perfect example. But how many times but teams comfortable leading this new Knicks offense now that he has a couple more games under his belt under Mike Brown's system?
You do? I mean, you said that this system activated. It seems like it deactivated Carl Anthony Towns because it's flexible. Right now, and I'm looking at this league, and it takes the man tighter, and especially with Brunson being out the most important position in the league. Still no powerful. So I'm looking at Carl Anthony Towns, and this is his moment to show why he's one of the most skilled dudes to ever play the game of basketball and show his engagement. And when I say his engagement, being locked in, not just on the offensive end, but on both ends of the floor, defensively as well. I go look at the game that they lost to, that last game that they lost to Orlando, the game before that, he still has 2 blocks. Like, they need him to be consistently good on both ends of the floor. And now he needs to take his place.
And we're about 2 minutes into the 4th now. Here goes Fox. Rejected by Antetokounmpo. Milwaukee leading by 13.
Hello.
And here's Turner. Jacks up a 3. The triple drop. All right, guys, what's your take on the hustle stats for the Bucks?
All you have to do is look at one stat, and that is their block numbers. It tells you how tight their D has been. They've been going out of their way to smother the defense.
Fox with the drive. Yes, sir, with the 3.
Nice work by Barnes in that coffin corner. He really had that bad boy dialed in.
And the Bucks with the possession here. It's a 13-point game. He launches. Vassell there for the rebound. And here are the Spurs now. They're on a 12-3 run. Barnes feeling it out a bit. Here's Wembanyama. Castle fires. Oh, missed on the tray. The Bucks leading by 13. The 3 is off.
Oh, man, for whatever reason, he can't get it going from three, and he's pretty good from there.
Booyah! He sinks the triple.
When a crafty scorer like Barnes gets on a roll, it can turn into a big night.
A little over 3.5 minutes in the books now in this fourth quarter. Spurs trail by 10. Antetokounmpo with the block. And so the ball out of bounds. Antetokounmpo touched it last. Here's Castle from downtown. Outside Fox. Here's Castle. Outside Fox. Takes a three. And he nails it.
Look at how planted Fox is. He's primed to shoot the moment he gets it.
It's stolen by Fox.
Things aren't looking good here. I mean, they need points, and they need them now.
And if I were them, I'd start thinking about where I'm going to get food after the game because this one looks a bit out of reach.
Up top, Trent. The shot from 20 feet out. Yes, sir!
And they just continue to attack, even late in the game, while they're up big.
If you want to be great, you have to have that killer instinct.
Wembanyama. No good from three. And we've got 28 seconds left in the final quarter. On offense, here is San Antonio. They're on a 20-5 run. Fox. It falls. And he commits the intentional foul. And they go to the intentional foul. And that hurts as he doesn't get the first one to fall.
Giannis tighten up, in my opinion, and he could do it.
It seems like they're trying to play him almost in like a
second or two is good. And that increases the lead to 6.
I think that's one of the things that Carl has not done before, and that was one of the things that he wasn't sure. But I will say this: Carl's offense works in Sacramento. It's turned into a turbocharged offense. Well, that's Tim just laid out an offense working in Vancouver. I mean, in New York. So some of it is this Corey Hudson thing.
You like to do it, right?
He doesn't hit the first. That was the one they really
all the
wanted.
time, all the time. But I wouldn't call Anthony Towns, and you know, call Anthony Towns is
And he can't get the second one to drop either.
Right, I got to win. So Carl Anthony Towns is an emotional guy, but sometimes we have to start
So we see the Bucks
and
get the win here.
to get the best on the defensive side of things. You got
But a win's a win.
trying to get the extension
You have the credit.
Man, I gotta pick up all that glass. Oh, my wrist! Steve, who all hit me? I don't know, but I know someone just like you. Hello, it's your favorite sports fun here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the fastest growing community on YouTube. Remember, Nightcap doesn't happen without you. So please subscribe or you're going to make Ocho cry. Ocho, Bleacher Report ranks his top 5 most overrated quarterbacks. They named Lamar Jackson as the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, said he may not just be one of today's most overrated active quarterbacks, but also all time. His 2-time MVP status is borderline fraudulent. His credentials don't measure up to other legends who won the award on numerous occasions. Of the 10 players that have joined multiple MVP clubs during the Super Bowl era, Jackson is the lone member without a Super Bowl ring. All the others on that list include Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Kurt Warner, Patrick Mahomes, were able to take their team to multiple Super Bowl appearances and won at least once. Jackson has yet to even reach the big game. He's 3-5 lifetime in playoffs and has a .375 postseason winning percentage that stands far away the worst among multiple MVP winners.
First of all, Steve Young did not take no team to multiple MVPs. He was a backup. He took his team to one Super Bowl, and he did win it. That was in 1994. He threw 6 touchdowns in Miami to beat the Chargers. So I like to give context. Steve Young did not go to multiple Super Bowls. Now, also, if I'm not mistaken, I think Earl Morrall, didn't Earl Morrall start one of those Super Bowls for the Colts? Oh, yeah, two of them. Johnny Unitas did or Earl? Yeah. Man. Johnny went to two Colts went to 2 Super Bowls. I know they beat the Cowboys on the field goal. With Johnny? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Look, I get it. Yes. And Ocho, we talked about this. This is the albatross. This is the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. You see the names that are on this list that have won multiple MVPs. Lamar is the only one that hasn't been to a Super Bowl. That's not to say Ocho's career is not ending tomorrow. No, absolutely not. Everybody jumped on me when I said his career will be looked at as a disappointment if he doesn't get to a Super Bowl, considering what he had accomplished. You base it on what the other guys. So you can't just look, well, he won 2 MVPs. You got to look at the company that he's in that's won 2 MVPs. Now you start looking at it. You're like, well, damn, he has to get to 1. Aaron Rodgers went to 1. He has to get to at least 1. Mm-hmm. And then we look at him totally different. He gets to 1 and he wins it. Mm-hmm. We look at him differently, Ocho. We just do.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, I understand the come daddy keep, the fact that he's won 2 MVPs, the fact that he's won those MVPs, those that are in the chat that are listening, that are watching, you have to understand that he's in a class of his own, in a different class for that matter. So when it comes to judging him, he judged based off his
happy to have you with
he's
us
not
for
compadre,
NBA basketball on 2K Sports.
His peers. He judged based on his other peers that won MVPs as well. And most of them, if not all, have been to a Super Bowl, whether they won a Super Bowl or not. So he can jump off for that. But the whole overrated part is the part I don't like. That's the part I don't like. Saying that he's overrated because he hasn't gotten there yet and he's still playing, and only his 7th, maybe 8th year, I'm not sure which one it is. It's ridiculous. I think that matters. Nothing about Lamar's first year. Yeah, okay, but nothing about Lamar Jackson. What he brings to the table, what he brings to the NFL, what he brings to the Baltimore Ravens in general, and giving them a chance and having them in contention every goddamn year, nothing about that is overrated. That's the part I don't like. Now that is more, to me, is more clickbait. There should be a different title when it comes to talk about the quarterbacks that have won MVPs, that have been or won the Super Bowl. The title should be goddamn different. Overrated by goddamn man. Now that's a bunch of bullshit.
To ask your question, but when you're looking at him, here's the thing. You're looking at him against his peers. You're looking at him against his peers that have won 2 MVPs. So when you look at him, look at the class that he's in. You compare him to Mahomes, 2 MVPs, 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 wins. Looking at Peyton Manning, 5 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 wins. You're looking at Tom Brady. Move on. You're looking at Rick Moss.
How about this? Everybody on that list. Everybody on the list except one person is already done and not playing anymore.
And you see right there the practice.
Everybody on the list is done and not playing. So how about we wait until he's done playing and then we justify whether he belongs in that company or not, or whether he's overrated or not. And even if he doesn't go to a goddamn Super Bowl, what he's going to continue to do the resume that he put together, whether he wins 3 more MVPs and doesn't any goddamn shit, nothing about Lamar Jackson is overrated. I know the fact the way we judge quarterbacks is based on wins and losses and rings and hardware and all that. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, when you're talking to people that played the game, forget the media, forget the pundits, forget those that never played the game. Nothing about one rule out of goddamn Pompano who played the Boynton Beach High School is overrated. Whether he had the goddamn ring or not. He will still go down as one of the best. The best.
Here's Kamara. Jacks up a 3. Sends it home from 3-point land.
And that's on the defense, giving him a decent look. That's his shot.
How do we judge Dan Marino? Do we say Dan Marino's not winning the race because he's
here's the thing, Ocho.
Shot on the wing.
G-R-E-A-T. Great. Now, if we add that S-T,
and you know, as a
would be great test.
Shows great hands, and he
that's what he's going for. You see, you said something very interesting. So we got to talk about Nico Harrison, Dallas Mavericks.
Make some tweaks to the strategy. Unable to get the ball in bounds, and they got called for a 5-second violation.
The real reason why the Dallas Mavericks fired Nico Harrison, and it is not, according to them, having to do with the Luka trade. Do you actually buy it? We're going to get into that. Plus, what does this mean for Anthony Davis and his trade situation? Because some new information came to light today, which could change the way everybody looks at that. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. Donnie, still say it, 70%. It's holding steady. 70% of people watching the channel are not subscribed. You gotta get people to subscribe. You're not subscribed by everybody.
Yes, sir. We're trying to grow this thing out. By the way, for everyone, subscribe. Thank you, especially if you've been around from the beginning. The channel is obviously much smaller. It's been amazing, so thank you for the support, and we want to keep this thing going, so we appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we appreciate it. You guys support the company, help support us. So like Sleeper, the getting sponsored, you have to like clicking the link in the description to check it out. Sleeper, great way to help our channel continue growing. I was talking about this. This is from Sports Illustrated. Will Parrish of CBS Texas said, Peter told me on Tuesday on the record, now the fans' voice did play a factor in Nico Harrison's fight. Ultimately, it was the team's performance. But the largest reason, Nico's mismanagement of the Mavs' salary cap, which led to a lack of flexibility last season and this season. So essentially what they're saying is that, yeah, the Luka trade kind of matters. Yeah, the fans being pissed off kind of matters. And yes, it was team performance, but it was because the team was losing. But it was really that the numbers, yes, that was the which they were. To me, that ranking, that's out of order. It's out of order. So what are we talking about? The Luka trade from the worst trades in NBA history. What are we talking about? The salary cap management was the biggest concern. Come on. I don't like this.
Yeah, also, again, it keeps skirting under the radar, but he also had another terrible trade in there, too. So, Nico is so polarizing because there were things he tried to do that didn't work out, but he ultimately put together such a great roster, and then out of nowhere, it's like, you know what? Screw all these guys. I'm going to do what I want to do. He puts himself in the highest position of power, basically. I heard some of the other guys that covered the team saying basically did not have no choice but to fire him because Nico had just so much power within the organization. He couldn't look at so said he was holding the thing. And so Ego gets a hold of Nico, and he's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So just crazy mismanagement all of But yeah, the salary cap thing, that matters, right? Like last year, they got to a point where they were missing all these guys, and they were on the verge, and we haven't seen that in how long. They were on the verge of having to forfeit basketball games. I remember when that first started happening, you and I talked, we were like, there's no but it actually almost became true because the NBA didn't give them any sort of outs or any sort of special treatment or any way to offset that. So they were almost in that position, and you just can't get there. Now, obviously, a bunch of other things had to happen to get there, but still, that was because they couldn't bring in anybody else. And I do think that the team performance matters as well. This team is 8-3. He's still in his role. He's not fired, I think. But I think that obviously the fan sentiment was very important. When we trade, Patrick Dumont said that, basically that was something that they made a mistake on, if I recall correctly, with that man at the courtside thing a few days ago. And then obviously another piece of this is that their arena's damn near empty. Like their courtside was damn near empty, all that stuff. Like I'm sure that's a huge part of this. There's so many things here that I think that are in play. I just can't say that mismanagement of the salary cap for the top of the list.
Get into why. That might be the messaging coming from Mark Cuban and the Mavs right now. That no. It's not really this Luka thing. But let's get to that in just a moment. We do need to give a shout out to our great presenting sponsor, and that is Sleeper, dominating the spotlight. And
that player has an off night.
In a strange way, it's almost better if your star is out of the game. I know that sounds weird, but those complementary players get increased opportunities and are emboldened to do more.
And so timeout called by Chauncey Billups here. Coach probably just checking to make sure everybody's on the same page here.
Imagine if your dollars earn 4.1%. USDG is a stable fund and 1 to the dollar. Just hold it and get rewarded. Kraken thinks earning on USDG is
pass to Kamara. Here's Rupert. SGA covering. Back to Kamara. To the inside. Always a nice way to start. Makes his first one.
When they get their opportunity to punch it inside, they don't hesitate.
Here's Wiggins. And that one's on target from the wing.
That was a prayer. All luck getting that one to go.
Pass to Kamara.
Survivor Series is always one of my favorite shows of the year. The good ones and the bad. Over the years, we've had some pretty cool moments. Things that I remember. The Rock turning his back on everybody, siding with the corporation, becoming a WWF champion. You got The Rock debuting Survivor Series. Undertaker, The Shield, all of them doing that Survivor Series. CM Punk more recently making his return to WWF Survivor Series. I'm thinking there's moments. I'm very excited about the Survivor Series match itself. Even when it is brand versus brand, which is not always my favorite thing about it, but I like traditional elimination style matches, the tag team elimination matches we see all the time, and I've had some soft spots for some of those brand versus brand didn't stick to me because it was like around draft time. So you have drafts taking place in WWE, people go to different brand, and then all of a sudden they're going to come together for Survivor Series.
Williams
They've been on the same show for like a month, it just doesn't make any sense. And also, I found that red shirts versus blue shirts, always kind of corny. You have the big ball being the ball, you don't have it. And it just felt a little crazy. But you get the brand warfare type of matches, and they'd have, again, really cool moments that would occur, or it'd just be really fun matches to watch. Like Dolph Ziggler being a Survivor Series and Sting being the WWE. Sting won the whole Survivor Series thing at the end. So that was really cool. 2005 was pretty awesome Survivor Series match. You go back and watch it. Star-studded for sure. But also, like, HBK was wild in that whole thing. They ran the victory, but then Undertaker made a return to confront Randy Orton to set up their feud. You tried 2019 Survivor Series. I went and rewatched this, and I was like, I think a lot of people are not with WWE anymore. But I really like the fact that they did Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. Something we hadn't seen. And it was just nice to see all of this. Like how young Damian Priest was. Damn, real baby Priest. What a really fun match. He really also being a huge standout in that movie. And my personal favorite is, ready? Are you ready? It's going to be the Team WWF versus the Alliance at Survivor Series. I had that DVD. I wish I still did. I have it back. I watched it on pay-per-view. I remember this, but I bought it, and I bought the DVD, and I loved the whole show, beginning to end, because it was Team WWF versus the punch that was on the line. It was so great, but that final Survivor Series matchup, Austin, Rock, Kurt Angle, Jericho, like everybody's like, dude,
Gilgeous Alexander's got 14 points for the game.
There are storms. And the Alliance story didn't work out the way we hoped. I had some soft spots in there. I enjoyed that, but that just goes to the glasses and nostalgia kicking into me. But overall, it was a complete failure. However, that match, I loved how it was played. And with the ending with WWE, it obviously left a big question of what was going to happen next. So in the last few years, we've seen WWE themselves bring back order. They revived it. Hadn't been seen since WCW, brought back in NXT by Triple H. Then we saw it come to main roster in 2022. Now, War Games as a concept, I have enjoyed it, but not much. One thing about the concept itself, I wish WWE tweaked. How never will, but it's the factor of having eliminations. I wish it had eliminations inside of War Games. I think it would add a new wrinkle and twist in there to the match itself, making each participant, and if it's going to be 2 against 1, it really changes the flow of them in a lot of different ways. Because the way it is, you have to wait till all participants enter War Games, and then the match officially begins. And because of that, you can get some really cool spots going on. You know who all the participants are. But you want to, you just kind of wait until ding, 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 everyone shows up, War Games begins. Now the match can start. So, not every time, but in some cases, it can kind of feel like it's 20 minutes of waiting. But for you, does it ever feel like you're waiting for War Games to start? The good side, I loved some of the matches and moments that we've gotten since they added women's War Games. I like that it's 4v4, and I like that they've done things like Io Sky and the Trash Can, because it's a staple of War Games. There's been some downsides too, like Nia Jax trying to use a chair in War Games. That hasn't gone well. And some of the feelings leading to a War Games match have made sense. The calls for War Games to be there. When we brought it to main roster in 2022, you had the Bloodline in there. That was the focal story of that period. It made a lot of sense to do a War Games match because of the interpersonal dynamics and story between all the characters of Bloodline. Sami Zayn and Jay, Roman, their whole relationship dynamic during War Games. In 2024, you had Punk and Roman inside War Games, and it was a can they coexist? You know, they have to align. The favor of Paul Heyman. What's going to happen? There's a lot of intrigue. But I think one of the challenges with Survivor Series, and I guess more specifically War Games as a concept, doesn't really always call and do the War Games match. You're forced into this gimmick match. So you need, every year, they need to create a story around War Games. Like, it has to work for the match itself, for the match type, not the stories, and then it calls for the War Games. You know what I mean? We saw this change with Hell in a Cell. When Triple H got in charge, and he came in there and he just started sledgehammering everything, and are you ready for no Hell in a Cell? They got rid of it as a whole pay-per-view itself, because it got pretty stale. And also, you had this issue. Every year with Hell in a Cell, you had to have these matches, these stories, fit with Hell in a Cell. Like, it was coming, it was on the calendar, so we had to make it work. And a lot of the times, those matches did not require Hell in a Cell. You would get some standouts though, where you get Usos versus New Day, tag team Hell in a Cell. That's tremendous. Steve versus Seth. How that thing is. But I like that they got rid of the pay-per-view.
And this is what Coach wants to see. They don't care about position. Outworking the defense to get a second chance.
We got the sinners dropping down, shooting guards, or beating up the sinners now.
There's no difference, so you got to cut
9 points in the game.
You got that
Pass to Avdia. Trailblazers got to hurry. Got to get up a shot. Again, the miss by Portland.
Truth is
And
true.
just executing your offense earlier in the clock helps you avoid shots like that.
Nice ball movement by Oklahoma City. The three from Holmgren. Connects from downtown. Holmgren's got 9.
A superb three-point threat. When
It's
Holmgren is knocking
oversaturated
down
because you've
triples,
seen it
he's
over
hard to
and over
contain.
and over again. And multiple times on the single show. So once they leave this pay-per-view, I enjoyed Hell in a Cell a lot more. And I think you can argue that Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk was a tremendous Hell in a Cell matchup after blood. But we didn't have it at Hell in a Cell, the pay-per-view. And then you felt like the story itself was naturally culminated to that match. For me though, I don't know why it feels different than something like Money in the Bank. Because that is also a stable calendar show gimmick. through the latter matches, and same for the Royal Rumble. It's a staple every single year. I don't know, for me, I don't know what the real difference is there, other than there's a specific prize involved. There's money in the bank. There's the Royal Rumble win to go to WrestleMania for a championship.
152 left in the
There
third
is
quarter.
no stakes involved. Maybe that's the difference. But in War Games 2025, where we are right now, me as a fan sitting here, it doesn't feel very special. But what about you? Maybe it didn't work hard this creatively in 2025, where we've seen some ebbs and flows, and a lot of sentiment is that creatively WWE has been slow, that the shows themselves have been good. You do have some great matches that occur, Raw, SmackDown, the PLE, but the storylines are flat. The main event superstars are not in deep, compelling stories. People don't like this character or that character. People feel like Jey Uso is thrown down their throats, LA Knight is buried, other people are getting pushed, we want new talent, we want people featured, Cody isn't interesting anymore, Punk's too old. On and on it goes. I personally feel like the product picked up a little bit in the last, I want to say month, maybe two. There are elements, not every book, but I can definitely say that I've enjoyed the title changes, like William being Sami Zayn, US champion, Julius dropped the US title to Chelsea, we'll see how that goes. Tag team title changes, Aleister Black, maybe getting a few of Cody Rhodes at the top. It's all kind of interesting. It's different. That's something that we haven't seen over and over again. Feels like they're stepping away from the vision, constantly getting involved in stuff on Raw in the main event. But we want to talk about what's the order matchup. But even with some of the momentum WWE seems to have right now, or has had, it feels like it all has to kind of stop. Take a pause, because War Games is here. So let's look at the men's War Games match right now. Yes, there's multiple interpersonal issues and stories that are building towards this War Games match. And Jay, both men at the center of the main event match. And also their matches they have on and off, their story of division, since post WrestleMania 41. It's all about Braun and Bronson, Seth, the Vision, all of that. That's Punk's big story. But before War Games, it looks like he was building towards Seth, Braun, Bronson versus Team Punk. And then Seth got injured. And I wonder how much that changed the direction from War Games this year. Maybe not. Because you now have Logan Paul added in on the bad guy side. One thing I liked about Logan Paul and his positioning was looking like he was going to be just kind of inside with Punk, he could turn his back and align with the Vision. And on Raw recently, Paul talking about how you kind of need to align with these guys. You need to be on their good side because they're so dangerous. So I like that. And I do like Paul and CM Punk on the microphone together. They kind of have good chemistry in my eyes. But one problem I have seen is how much they have pulled off Braun and Bronson since the Seth injury and Braun Breaker turning on Seth Rollins. That huge moment, the spear, the tsunami, the beatdown, Braun Breaker holding the world title, the crowd going insane. That was such a little tiny moment that blew up for everyone, and I think it gave a lot of fans hope that we were going to see something fresh and exciting, and including something really interesting going into War Games. Not so much. They really pulled off Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Paul Heyman doing backstage promo with them, telling them to do that politic and just hang tight. Maybe it's just a wait-and-see approach with this, that you need to have more patience, because you want everything right now. I just feel that you had such crazy momentum, a spark of interest after months of people feeling like there isn't a whole lot exciting going on. And now Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are kind of in the background. Logan Paul is more front and center right now. And especially because you have fans that would want something fun, compelling, and interesting for a storyline. So because WWE hasn't done very much on storytelling with the Vision right now in the last, let's say, 2 months, or since Seth Rollins got injured, the storyline for them feels kind of cold. Oh, I didn't forget Cody, by the way. Mr. Nightmare. He is also in War Games. But I ask you, why? Why is Cody in this match? Like, actually, why? If you only watch WWE, if all you watch is a Raw, SmackDown, and TNA, why is he there?
Guys are moving the ball,
he's with his buddies. Okay, he's on SmackDown. Cody's on SmackDown. And for the last several months, Cody has been dealing with Drew McIntyre. Cody has gone from, like, crown jewel against Seth, Drew McIntyre wrestled for a little bit. Another Drew McIntyre pro.
Outside Joe.
And then
Takes the
starting
three.
to tackle Alistair Black right now. Yeah, like I said earlier, I like that. Because it's elevating Zelina and Alistair Black to the title scene. It's sprinkling a little bit. The Priest is still showing up. And you got something happening on SmackDown. So that's a lot of fun. But then, Cody he's just backstage with Punk and Jay, and they got the two champs side by side, and Jay's over in the corner eating himself, and why is he there? We can pull it all back and say, okay, Cody has all of this history with Jay. He's tag team champion with Jay himself. He has had problems with the Vision, with Seth, the Crown Jewel match. We've had Braun and Bronson attacking Cody Rhodes in the past. We've had the relationships and a little bit of tension there between Punk and Cody Rhodes. There's all these layers here. But in the current day, right now, Cody is showing up backstage. It kind of feels like I'll just be a part of War Games because I don't have a whole head of a lot else going on. And what's going on in SmackDown, it's just kind of great. He is in War Games. Shouldn't it be like Cody and Alistair Black? Also in the Warriors, I think maybe look that. I don't know. And then you have Reese killing Cody in the good guy side, which is 5-5. Maybe that is what they are. I don't know. It just feels kind of odd because they don't explain it. They don't have Cody, as far as I remember, coming out to explain why he is buddying up with Jay and Punk. Why is he helping? Why now? He's got his own thing going. And I'm not saying that the War Games match with them won't be fun, because I've looked at the War Games for the last couple of years. They're fun matches, but the story going into it doesn't feel that compelling and special. Could they shock us? Men's War Games 123, I rewatched that. It was a lot of fun. You had Randy Orton. It was announced that he was going to return to Survivor Series. Hoping out Cody Rhodes. Randy, not just cute, just tall, muscle, tall, just gigantic. Randy returns, and he gets an enormous pop. He goes through and decimates Judgment Day. I thought it was hilarious and so much fun. You also, in that moment, you really could run after Judgment Day with the money that he pays for WWE. That seems like a lifetime ago. But, okay, that was a lot of fun. She uses the passion for Priest. They're going to do it. Passion in a title match inside there. The whole War Games thing is going to be ridiculous. Randy runs out, and all hell breaks loose, all shenanigans. Then ends the whole thing with CM Punk returning to WWE. So it was just bang, bang, bang in that War Games match. So we'll see. Maybe you do get something cool. Maybe you get a really fun match. Maybe you do get some return. Maybe a turn at the end of the match.
Yeah, when you look at the game, the one thing that helped fuel this team victory was the efficiency for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Survivor Series, like Punk did, and they kind of recreate that match. More Jericho, the word that's out there is that he is due to finish up with AEW until December. Then you have the women's working. Team Rhea, Rhea, Io, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair,
there's 45 seconds left in the final quarter.
Flash Legend, Nia Jax. Nia Jax. Everyone watch out for Nia. This one does feel like it has a little bit more story because you have been building Kabuki Warriors. Io Rhea's story for a long time now. One of my more favorite programs at WWE has been like Kabuki Warriors. Austin's just has been great for me. And I have enjoyed Kairi saying
they really came in with the right mindset today.
She's under the thumb of Asuka. She doesn't want to do these things, but she's got to be a bad guy. However, it cooled off completely. I don't know, we get pretty theme with this. It felt like it cooled off a ton because, unfortunately, it got injured. You picked her up.
6 on the shot clock. Now Sharp, and they force the shot clock violation. Great D. 5 ticks left in the game.
Yo, what's pop?
And so it's the Thunder taking care of business.